Breaking news, Julio Jones is headed to the Tennessee Titans. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about this mega blockbuster trade of Julio Jones going from the Atlanta Falcons to the Tennessee Titans. Before I get into that, if you're new to the channel, make sure to go ahead, hit that big red subscribe button down below, guys. Make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms and make sure to hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I drop a new video. Let's get into it. All right, so the trade finally happens. This is huge because obviously we know that Julio Jones was on the trading block. He even made it public by getting a call from Shannon Sharpe. He didn't know, by the way, that he was going to be on live TV and literally telling Shannon Sharpe on Undisputed that he's out of there, meaning Atlanta. And so he had requested a trade. It was time for him to move on from Atlanta, and they acquiesced, they listened to him, and now he is headed to the Tennessee Titans. So let's talk about the trade details first, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on the trade itself, who won, who lost, and all of that. All right, so the trade details. Put it simply, here it is for you guys. The Tennessee Titans, of course, get Julio Jones and a 2023 sixth round pick. So they do get some compensation back in not just Julio. The Falcons, who obviously had Julio Jones, they now get a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 sixth round pick. So the Titans will take on Julio Jones and the rest of his deal for the rest of his contract, but the Falcons do have a little bit of leftover dead cap money in $7.75 million approximately that will be for Julio Jones. So there you have it, the full trade details right here. So right off the bat, what do I think about this trade? Let's talk about it from the Tennessee Titans perspective. I love it. I love it for a couple of reasons. But first and foremost, you needed more offense. You needed more offense. And it's funny, I say that because you might be like, Faiz, their offense was fine last year. Their defense is what isn't good. Yeah, that's true. But after this offseason, when they lost their number 2 receiver in Corey Davis and their number 1 tight end in Jonnu Smith, they needed more weapons. They needed more weapons on offense because it was pretty much A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. Now, don't get me wrong. Those two guys are great. Derrick Henry is a beast, a top 5 running back. And A.J. Brown is ascending, one of the best young receivers in football. But it's just not enough if you are trying to contend for a Super Bowl. You need more weapons. Now, not only do you get A.J. Brown a potential number 2, because he's not a number 2. A.J. Brown probably is now a number 2 because Julio Jones is still very, very productive at his age. So you have an all-pro wide receiver, a top 5 receiver. Yes, I still believe in the NFL, in Julio Jones, to go alongside A.J. Brown, and that becomes now one of the best wide receiver duos in the entire NFL. So I love it in terms of the need. They needed to replace all of the targets and receptions lost by Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis, who are 2 big, big losses, folks. Those are big losses for the Titans offense, all right? So I love it from that perspective for going after Julio Jones. Here's the other thing, other reason why I like it. The Tennessee Titans know that they're in a window of trying to win a Super Bowl. Now, Derrick Henry, still fantastic, but we know running backs, they age very quickly because of the mileage on their body. And then, obviously, you like the weapons that they do have on offense, but Ryan Tannehill, right? He is who he is at this point. He's been very good the past couple of seasons, but will he get better? We don't know yet. So the Titans are going all in. They're going all in, and I don't blame them. And Julio Jones is the type of guy who can take you to the top, right? So for that, I am totally on board with it. And then finally, compensation-wise, you didn't have to give up a first-round pick, which you might have thought or expected a guy like Julio Jones to get. So this is more of a position thing than anything. Julio Jones being a wide receiver and 32 years old, I believe, is the reason they didn't get a first-round pick. But honestly, that's a win for the Titans. The fact that they didn't have to give up a first-rounder. They did still give up a second and 6. But as far as compensation, I don't think that was too bad. I think that was fair. And I think they got a little bit of a bargain, if you ask me. Like, I would have predicted maybe a second and a third or fourth. But a second and 6? Love it. So for the Tennessee Titans, I love this trade. I love this trade. Julio Jones is going to be a game changer for them. He is still can get it done at his age. And they even got a 6th round pick back. So compensation, need, fit, love everything for them. The one thing I will say, though, obviously we still know their defense needs to improve. But as far as just this trade themselves, this is great. This is great. So I'm so happy for Titans fans out there this is a great move. Let's switch gears and talk about the Atlanta Falcons. All right, so they got a 2nd and 6th round pick. I think they did okay. I don't think it was great. No home run by any stretch. Couldn't get a 1st round pick. But do I blame them for moving on from Julio Jones? I don't, because Julio wanted to leave. If Julio didn't want to leave and they traded him, I would have said, okay, I'm not okay with that. Because you bring back Matt Ryan, you drafted Kyle Pitts, you have Calvin Ridley. You could have had like the best offense in football, right, if you kept Julio. But because Julio Jones wanted out, you go ahead and move him, and I'm okay with that. Because to me, the biggest thing with a guy wanting out is you don't keep him because it ruins your team chemistry, right? You can try to convince him to stay, but if he doesn't want to do it, eventually you have to move off of him. And that's what they did with Julio Jones, who gave him obviously multiple years, his whole career pretty much with the Atlanta Falcons. So to me, as far as compensation, Falcons did okay, could have done better. And then as far as, trading Julio Jones because he wanted out, I'm okay with it. But they had a chance to have the best offense in pro football if they kept all these guys. So we know the Falcons are more or less rebuilding, retooling, if you will. And Matt Ryan is still there, but who knows for much longer. Their building blocks are Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley. Okay, and of course they had to take a little bit of dead money there. So overall, winner of this trade, Tennessee Titans. But I don't think the Falcons are losers. I just think they did okay. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. As always, thanks for watching.